Hello everyone, this is Warren from the Rhapsody Piano Studio. I want to welcome you to today's live lesson. We're going to be learning Isolation Waltz. This is going to be for easy piano. Before we start, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed, and the notification bell if you want to catch whenever I do these live lessons. Also, sheet music is going to be in the links in the cards as well as the description below after the live stream is over. And also, you want to think of these lessons as a step-by-step guide on how to practice correctly, more like the instructions. And once you feel like you're getting a hang of this, I guess a handle on this, make sure you go on over to the tutorial as well, because that's the only really way to test out your knowledge. Hey, there we go. Morgan is on, my student as well. Hi, Charles. How's it going? We are doing fine. Thank you for asking. Caitlin is fine as well. Yeah. And if anything, these a lot of times I get comments where it's like, "This is not a tutorial. How dare you call this a tutorial?" Nya, nya, nya. I mean, you should never complain for one thing on the internet. But I have my student on here. Galactica likes to draw, aka one of my students in real life, online, not in person. Of course, there's no way I'm going to do that. She and all my other students use tutorials without any issues whatsoever. Okay. All right. And she's very young, by the way. All right. So, if you're a little older and you think, no, this is not the right way to learn piano, I have a lot of other students in my studio that would disagree. Okay. Oh, I'm getting tired. Okay, so about to bump my head. Okay. One of the things with these online lessons is like it's a lot of equipment to always get set up every day. All right, so this is going to be Isolation Waltz. One last thing about this piece before I start. I don't really know much about it, but apparently it was created by or composed by some child prodigy. It's kind of interesting. All right, I think his name is, it says it right here, Stelios Karasidis. I'm guessing that's Greek or something like that. All right, I'm going to show you how to practice this from the beginning. We're done. I'm just kidding. All right, so what we did was the first 4 measures, okay? What you want to do in the beginning is pick the smallest chunk at a time. Other thing about this piece I forgot to mention, it's 2 pages. It's more like 1.5 pages, but it's very short. There are a lot of repetitive sections, just like there are in a lot of other music, almost every type of music, right? Yeah, and it's going to be in C major. All right, so first 4 measures, and you want to connect it to the note of the next measure, which is measure 5, okay? So that's where you want to stop. And it's important to stop in the next measure because that way you create a connection. And if you don't do that, you have to kind of waste your time connecting it, all right? It's very awkward if you don't do it that way. Trust me, it's going to save you a lot of time. Now we just go back and we're just going to do one hand at a time. I'm taking it a lot slower, of course. Now, one thing you notice, you do want to highlight this is what we call the downbeat, but it's also the melody. So these are all extra notes, all right? So try to play this a little louder than the rest. Okay? All right. Now I'll just simply try it together from the beginning. Ready, set, go. To the left hand. It's basically that pattern, okay? Going from C minor, G minor, C minor, okay? And it's good when you find this version because they do indicate the harmony that you're in, okay? Above each measure. All right, we just try it together. Ready, set. Actually, we get to hear, I'm playing this with a 1-2. For people with smaller hands, you might do a 1-3 or even a 1-4. You might have to jump a little bit more if you do have smaller hands. If you can't reach like I can get to pretty much a tenth, major tenth. That's about it. Okay. All right. Ready, set, go. Okay. And you notice just like the melody, highlighting the bottom note, the first note I mean. It's the bass, okay? And these are the extra notes, alright? Okay, can we just go back and put both hands together? interesting if you play without all those extra notes. It basically sounds like this. So if you think that's the main meat and bones of it, everything else is all those little seasonings and appetizer. Okay, all right, let's try it together now from the beginning. Ready, set, go. Okay, and one thing too. Okay, I'm not gonna be perfect on this either, right? You don't want to, don't clip the end of that if possible. It sounds a little awkward. So really watch the last notes. It's kind of hard to do because when you go at a faster tempo, you have to play it a little shorter, right? You imagine it just keeps going. It's almost like a trill in a way, okay? All right, now we're gonna go to the next chunk. Okay, and you see actually that part is just continuing on, okay? All right, so it's the next row. We use all right, the technical word for each row of, let me do it this way, row of music with all the measures, we call them systems. So I guess I'll just call them systems. All right, so the second system, and I'm gonna tell you by systems because there are no measured numbers here. It's always endlessly frustrating when they don't do that. All right, put measured numbers in your music all the time. It's just I don't know, whatever. Okay, so that was the second measure. So our second system. So far we have the next 4 measures, which creates one system. Sorry, this might be a little confusing, but I promise you, when you get the sheet music, it's not that difficult. Okay. All right. So second system, which is those 4 measures, going into third system, aka the third row. Okay. Let me play for you one time. Again. Okay. So that was the next part. Same thing. Right hand, left hand, hands together. Hands separate, hands together. Okay. Okay, that's basically it. Let's try it together. Ready, set, go. Okay, and then also disclaimer, kind of going back to this beginning part where I gave you some other choices with the finger numbers. I'm doing a 3 and a 2, which is fine for me, but other people, depending on the size and shape of your hand, that might not be comfortable for you. So if it feels uncomfortable, well, I mean, if it's uncomfortable, you might not want to avoid it, but just make sure it's not bordering on like painful, okay? If it just doesn't feel good whatsoever, that's an indication you need to change the finger numbers you're using. So I use 3, 2. All right, you might do a 4, 2, depending on your hand shape, okay? All right, here's the left hand. Simple enough. Ready, set, go. Then back to both hands. It's not the right note. Okay, ready, set, go. Alright, so that's basically, we're going to get to the last part of the step, which is once you have one section and another section, you put it together. So just a little review. First smallest chunk you can take, then you do hands separate, hands together. You pick another chunk, do the same thing, and then you just slowly build it up until you have larger and larger sections until you have the whole entire song, okay? All right, now we're gonna keep on going. Third system, third row on the music. All right, did you hear that? Take some time to think about what am I implying. Well, I'm just gonna tell you straight out. It's the same. It's exactly the same. It's a repeat of the first row, first system, okay? So this is also, excuse me, ugh, swallow something, okay. This is also why you want to do chunks at a time, because eventually you'll most likely hit a part where it's exactly the same, okay? If you're practicing the whole song from beginning to end, you're not going to notice that, and you're just going to keep repeating sections that do not need to be repeated in practice, okay? So this is exactly the same part, and this is what I tell my students, this is what you should be doing at home. We're just going to skip that row altogether, Okay, so now we're gonna go down to the fourth row, fourth system. Okay. A little retardado if you want. That's only if you're ending it, that is. And then the last row on the bottom. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna simply repeat this process. Yeah, and I realize we haven't put the section together yet, but you can go back from the beginning all the way and put the first half of this page together, the first 2 rows. But I'm choosing to finish the section off first. So we all have preferences on whatever we want to do. But yeah, after this part, I'm gonna put this whole entire section together for you. So you're gonna see how it works. Trust me. Okay. All right. Now the right hand. Okay. This is changing. Well, not changing melodies right there, but this is kind of cool. Right, and then here, you can hear how he kind of closes out the section. Okay, so that's when a lot of musicians talk about how music can be a conversation. That's what they're talking about. So first we open the loop, and then now we're closing the loop. Okay. All right, right hand, ready, set, go. That note didn't come out, but that should be a G. Okay, now left hand. This is basically the same pattern as well. Now, look at it. I actually showed you another way to practice this. If you have long enough hands, you can reach octaves. All right. You just practice it that way, or even this way as well. Okay, and that's another approach I advocate in my studio, is trying to do one thing a lot of different ways instead of just doing one thing for everything. Okay, just use a lot of variety. Okay, so here I'm not even gonna we're not gonna practice the left hand right now because it's exactly the same. Okay, same pattern. So this part we're just gonna do right hand and hands together. So you're kind of getting a taste of what the subtleties are like with practicing this way. Okay. We simply try it together. Ready, set, go. Okay, and also this might be a reach for smaller hands out there as well. So what I would do, you might just use pedal to make that note longer as well. Okay, so I'm just trying to give you guys a lot of options here. All right, now we're gonna go back and put this entire section together. So it's pretty much the whole first page. Okay, and then same thing, hands separate. Then we're gonna go back to hands together. Try it together. We will slow it down. Ready, set, go. Okay. Another thing, and these are just some advanced tips. Once you get past the notes and the rhythm, when you get that done, you don't want to keep your hand in a stationary position, meaning you don't want to just lock it like this. So a little bit is fine. I might be doing too much right here, but you should be loose enough in the wrist. You don't want to usually keep the wrist locked. That's what causes a lot of tension and makes it sound uneven and doesn't sound good. So I'm always using some type of motion, and then this is where you get creative. You have to think of what type of motion does each pattern in the music. Is it like a line? Is it like a circle? Is it like a triangle? I don't know. So here, I'm just kind of slowly. It's like I'm floating on like if I had my hand in a pond, up and down. Okay, so you definitely don't keep it locked. All right, left hand. This is pretty simple. It's like down, up, down, up. See that? Yeah. So this is what makes the piano extremely difficult. Is when you have different motions in the left hand and the right hand. See, this is more like a bobbing up and down motion. This is down, up, up. Okay. It's kind of like drawing a circle in your right hand. This is it. This is the example I like to use a lot. Drawing a circle in your right hand and then drawing a rectangle or a different shape in the left hand at the same time. You ever tried that? It's like impossible. All right, here's the left hand. Okay, we're gonna go back and put that together, but another option here, if you want to save your time, you might not even want to just play it the way it's written on the music. Just here are the different positions, just going from C to G to A, B, C. Those are all the positions you kind of have to get good at playing. That's pretty much it, okay? And we're just kind of going back and forth between these because, of course, the harmony. All right, let's try it together from the beginning. Ready, set, go. Okay, back to both hands. Try it together, slowing it down. Ready, set, go. And then the second time around, because you have at the end what they call it's called a DS alphine. I'm kind of skipping to the last measure of this entire piece. That just means you're gonna go back to the beginning and then end where it says fine, F-I-N-E. It's not fine, it's fine. Okay, that means that's where you actually end it. And then when you end it, they do want you to take a ritardando, slowing it down the second time around, not the first time. Okay. All right, now we're gonna keep going. This is going to be the last section, and before I wrap it up by finishing up this section, I just want to ask you if you've enjoyed this video, if you learned something from it, help me out. Hit that like button; it really does help, and then share this with people who would want to learn it on piano. Okay. All right, here's the next part. Okay, so once again, going one system at a time. Okay, one row at a time. It's not all. It doesn't always work out this way, by the way. Just so happens to work out so far with this piece. It's about 4 measures in one chunk. Okay. Now here it just says to play this as an eighth, but I kind of like holding this anyway. Okay. Otherwise, it sounds like unless that's what they're going for. But I prefer to just hold it the whole way. Okay, so here's just the right hand. Okay. Ready, set, go. Left hand. Look at that, same pattern. We're gonna skip that, okay? So now just right hand and hands together for this system. And then if you look at the first measure of this part, it does say pure P on repeat, means more. I guess pure means more. Yeah, I'm sorry, I need to brush up on my Italian, I guess. So more softer on the repeat. So the first time around, you might do a little bit louder. The second time, a little softer. Okay. All right. Now we're going on to the next row, the next system. straightforward. Right hand. Try to hold this now here. Within that measure, we do come back to that note I'm holding, so it's not possible to hold it for an entire measure, of course. Okay, alright, so just the right hand. Now play without any pedal so you hear what it sounds like. And then the repeat. Okay, let's try it together. Ready, set, go. Then the right hand, or the left hand we're going to skip because it's the same. Okay, so back to hands together. Okay, ready, set, go. Okay, and then this whole part. Okay, and then of course we're just going to practice right hand and then hands together because remember the left hand, it's the same pattern, okay? So really, I'm hoping you get the benefits of this approach because number one, in my opinion, is just saving time, okay? All right. That might have been a little bit too much pedal, but just wanted to see what it would sound like. Okay, together, right hand, ready, set, go. Okay, then hands together. Much slower. Ready, set, go. Okay, and then we only have one part left. Just want to ask you guys really quickly. If you want to stick around, that's fine. Because we only have one part left here. But if you want to stick around at the end, I will give you a short recap, more additional resources, okay? Next part. So the first part of that repeat, then it just goes back to the beginning of that section. The second time, I'm not going to practice the second ending because it's just this. And then go back to the beginning, okay? So I'll just give you the first ending here, this entire section. This is simply thirds. And a fourth, third, and this scale leading back to the beginning of this part, okay? What's hard about this, the same thing, remember what I told you in the beginning, don't lock your wrists? This too. So it's a lot of, not rotation, but it's like, think of it as a seesaw, okay? Maybe this way works, like seesaw, okay? That's kind of weird. I wish I had another camera here so I could show you the side view of how my hand looks, but I'm trying to put, you know, I don't know, like equal-ish weight when I'm going from each finger. So this is kind of like an effective exercise, like overdoing it this way, or even practicing octaves like this. This is actually really effective because actually to do thirds is pretty difficult, but it's more subtle is why it's more difficult. But again, don't lock your wrists. It's a little bit of a seesaw. Then here. So yeah, funny enough, the example with not locking your wrists, it's a fine balance between tension and relaxation. So like how tense you have to be, because you can't be completely, you know, it's false when there's like you have to completely relax at the piano, because if you completely relax at the piano, I'm not going to play anything. So there has to be a certain amount of tension to actually play a note. Did you understand that? Yeah. So like you can't lift a weight without being tense, but you don't want to be like super tense since you're gonna blow a blood vessel or something, right? So it's the right amount of tension and relaxation. Okay. Kind of advanced, but you know that's really one of the main philosophies behind good piano technique. Okay. And trying to highlight that. You have a tenuto marking there, so you can just play it a little louder and fade away. Okay? Alright, so let's try it together. Just the right hand. No pedal. We're going to go slower. Ready, set, go. also says più espressivo e rubato, means expressive with rubato, but don't do that until you can play the notes evenly with good sound and tone, okay, and with the rhythm. A lot of people like to just skip to that stuff. Like you cannot skip to the details if you don't have the main idea done, okay? All right, now back to both hands. So I'm gonna do a little bit of rubato there. You know, I'm kind of just showing you, you know, the end result, okay? All right, so let's just try it together. We're just going to take the rhythm straight forward. After this quick recap, and then, you know, we'll end the lesson. Okay, ready, set, go. Okay, and that's it. All right, so quick recap from the beginning. This is Isolation Waltz. I think it's by some genius prodigy. I think his name is Stelios Kerasidis. I probably butchered that. Sounds Greek. Yeah, so the way to practice this, oh, also it's 2 pages, like 1.5 pages, but it's more like 1 page because a lot of these sections are repetitive, just like in any music. It's in C minor, so don't forget your flats. It's gonna have B, E, and A. Okay, that's the order. B, E, A, B flat, E flat, A flat. Okay. And the way to practice is you pick one part at a time. It turned out to be one system, aka one row of measures. First 4 measures, and then you want to stop at one note of the next measure. That way you link it together. So that's the first step of the process. Pick the smallest chunk. Then within that chunk, this first 4 measures and one note of the next measure. Okay, don't get confused. You do hand separate. But a lot of people skip this step. They just keep at it with both hands and they don't get anywhere. So hand separate, not always necessary. You'll know when you're improving, when you're doing the same level of music, and then you're all of a sudden you don't want to do hands separate anymore because it's too easy. Then you pick harder material, okay? Hands separate, then back to hands together. Then you do the next chunk, hands separate, hands together. Then the final step of the process is to put it together. So if we had 4 measures in the beginning, you take the next 4 measures. Okay, I should have done it this way, right? Next 4 measures. Then you connect it together into 8 measured parts. Then you keep building on from there, not forgetting to do hand separate practice until you have the whole entire song, okay, the whole entire piece. And other benefits of this is you save your time because some sections are going to be exactly the same in one hand, maybe a little subtly different in the other hand. So in that case, you can skip that part altogether. So, you know, some parts we actually didn't do right hand, left hand, hands together. We did right hand, hands together. Hope you understood that, okay? All right. And also understand the reason why you want to practice this way. If this is the first time you're doing it, it takes a lot of concentration to practice, all right? And that's also why when people go from the beginning all the way to the end, it just doesn't sound good because halfway there, they kind of lose concentration. So the last part, they're kind of practicing when your brain's already on empty. And whenever you do that, inevitably the quality of your results is going to totally suffer, okay? So that's why you want to do small parts at a time. And then you might not even get through the whole entire thing in one day, just depending on what level you're at. So you always want to come in with, most of the time you want to come in with a fresh approach, fresh mind energy, okay? Yeah, so it does take concentration, and if this is your first way of doing it, you might not even get through the whole entire piece in one day, or even be able to play through the whole piece in one day, okay? All right, so hope you enjoyed that, and it's easier music. It was really short, but I hope you're trying to give you a snapshot of actually how intricate and complex that actual piano practice could be, okay? Anyways, like I said, hope you guys enjoyed that. I'll see you guys for the next live stream. Hope you enjoyed this Memorial Day weekend. Definitely am thankful on this day for, you know, for all that I don't have to go through because of those who had to suffer and who are suffering right now to give everyone else out there a great life. So, you know, I hope you guys are appreciative every single day and grateful that we get to wake up, and especially for me to do this thing on piano. So yeah, getting a little sentimental here, but I really do appreciate how life is going for me, at least right now, okay? All right, hope to see you guys tomorrow for the next live stream, and happy practicing.